I'm going to this place called Damanhur. This was a very private community. They were having a celebration on this full moon. He could send thoughts to you telepathically that would infiltrate people's dreams. God, this is odd. Why am I scared to death? Because now I'm working on conspiracy theories here. I knew to hum to myself, this was scary for me.
I cannot believe you did that. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. I'd like to welcome back to the show legendary, great medium, Alicia. Welcome back to the show, Alicia.
Hi, Michelle. I'm thankful to be here with you again. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, and I just want to throw out there for the viewers and listeners, if you have not heard Alicia's previous episodes, please do yourself a favor and go back and have a listen. I will put the links to previous episodes in this actual podcast in the description, so you can just do a click back. And you've done quite a few now already, and the stories are just out of this world, remarkable, life or death. Just, each story you tell is just like, I cannot believe you did that. Like, and sometimes it's, what the hell were you thinking? But here you are today. You've lived through all these tales, and, you're just gracing us with the amazing experiences, the lessons, and the wisdom from everything, that you've experienced and what you've gone through and what you've learnt. And, you just can't buy that, can you?
No, you really can't, Michelle. And all the experiences, they were given to me. I was fortunate enough to have them given to me. And, the old adage, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, or, it's true. And to make the best of each opportunity we've been given, because it is in that we can give it to others, like doing these podcasts. Not only me, but the others that have done them, and will do them long after. It's that story that they allowed themselves to have that experience, so to speak, so that we can talk about it. And others can say, wow, I've had that very similar experience. Wow. And they made it, and I can make it too. That's what it's about it.
It is. And we learn so much through stories, don't we? We do. Through stories.
And stories are getting lost, Michelle, getting lost in today's world. We don't know whether it's AI generated or whether the person actually did that. Did they get paid to do it? Did they not get paid? What was it? Was it COVID so I can travel all over the world? I'm sure they got experiences. I'm sure they were wonderful. But were they just given to them, to follow or whatever? Yeah. It makes a difference, I think.
It does. What do you have for us today? What are you going to grace us with today?
Oh, with my presence, of course.
And I'm so pleased that that's happening.
Yeah. Well, yes. Just a little joke there. One of the stories I'd like to tell, and look at me, I'm looking up, I have to think, this is what happens when we age, right?
Where was I
No.
again? What was I doing?
Where was I? What year was it? Oh, God. As my kids used to say, were you driving the stagecoach across?
Oh, no.
I'm like, what? Yeah, that was 1819. I drove my stagecoach across America, and it
Yeah.
was really pretty
Did you
hard.
give them a 5-second start before you chased them? After they said that?
Exactly. Oh my God, that's so true. I'd like to start with a story. I had been traveling back and forth to England, right? I had made friends. I was doing mediumship in England, and I would go over, I would do mediumship, work different platforms, churches, and things, psychic suppers. And on this particular occasion, I had a good friend named John. John's passed now into spirit, but he was a musician, just brilliant. And we had this wonderful friendship. And I would stay with he and his wife, Angie, when I would first get into England. And before I would depart, I would stay at their home. And they were so welcoming, just lovely people. And John and I did a lot of crazy things together. One of them, and I will do on another podcast, my synchronicities took me to a rave in Wales. And I
Ooh,
brought John along with me to the rave in Wales. So that
right.
can be another podcast. But in this particular time, prior to going to England, someone or something had mentioned this Damanhur to me. And they were called the temples of mankind or humankind. And they were up in the Alps, the Swiss Alps, but on the Italian side of the Swiss Alps. So they were in Italy. And I just knew that was somewhere I needed to go. I had to go there. It's that gut feeling, intuition. And I said, well, if it so happens, I will end up there. I knew I was going to England. And if I had the money, I'd go. And I was planning like this trip all over Europe. I'm going to Bern, Switzerland to pick up a drum. I'm going here, there, and everywhere. But I always allowed spirit to guide me. And by the way, I never ended up going to Bern, Switzerland to pick up that drum or many other places. So I knew the places I would go were always meant to be. So I hopped on my flight to England, and John picked me up at the airport as usual. And I don't remember. I stayed with John and Angie, and I think I did Stansted College. No, not. Yes, I did Stansted College at that point in time and saw, I think I worked with Tony Stockwell then. And that was before Tony was Tony. He was just different. He wasn't as well known then, I would say.
Yeah.
Just more, yeah. And just had a great time at the college. I did go to the college. And on departing the college, I said, I'm meant to go to the Damanhur. I had already got my ticket. I'm flying to Milan, right? Never been to Milan. But every time I go to Italy, I think there's something about a past life that haunts me in Italy. And that's another story. But every time I would go to Italy, it would be a problem. It was like something dire would happen. And I would say, why did I come to Italy? Italy does not like me, or something's happened. So I ended up flying into Milan, and I told John, I'm going to this place called Damanhur, and explained to him where it was. And I said, I'll come back and I'll let you know, here's my date. I should be coming back, my itinerary. So he put it in his diary. Off I went. I flew into Milan, which was quite an experience for me, fine leather goods like shoes. and, and Alicia was putting on boots. It's amazing. Oh, whoa, these fit like a glove. Ooh, I didn't know, I forget how many euros, €1,000 would buy you like it fits just like your own skin. I'm like, wow, no wonder. I thought, no wonder these Italian ladies can wear these really nice stiletto boots and walk perfectly because they're comfortable. They feel like it's your own leg. So, in your own foot and your own leg, it's just so smooth. Anyhow, off I go, Milan. So now I know I have to take the train to Ivrea. Now, mind you, I have no idea I could not speak Italian. I knew enough Spanish that would translate and I could utilize, kind of crossed over so I would know. So off I go. I'm on the train. I'm heading up to Ivrea. Well, on the train, I would meet a girl who was from Scotland who told me that there was an open job in Wickland, or up in Scotland, Wick, Scotland, way, 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 way up. And they needed a person just like me to run this program. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll keep that in my notes. I write it down. I'll get up to Ivrea, get off of the train. And now we're on to the taxi cab, which is going to take us up the mountain. And it's just, I do believe, south of Turin, where the Shroud of Jesus is. So I arrive at Damanhur and as the taxi's going up, I hear this song playing by The Fray. It was a very popular song at the time called How to Save a Life.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Do you remember that song? Yeah.
Yeah.
And my new pink Razor phone, that was quite the rage. And I was lucky to have one. It's probably the pink of these flowers. But anyhow, it was Razor phone and it flipped up and it held all my music. And I love music. So, and I'm sure it was on my phone. And so I get there. So now what they do when you first got to Damanhur, now it's all changed, I'm sure, 100%, because the man who created Falco, and he called himself Falcon, but his name was Falco, has since passed. So a lot of things have changed. But back then, this was a very private community, and you were welcome to go there. And what they would do as soon as you arrived is take a Polaroid photo of you, which to me was kind of odd. Okay. Then you would take your euros and you buy, oh my gosh, what were they called? It was their own coins. Okay. Their own money, had the own name. And I still have some of them. I just can't think of the name of them, but you trade in your euros and they would give you their coins. So you could buy like your cappuccinos, which I love. I tell you, cappuccino, I must say. So cappuccinos, groceries. This was like a community all of its own, generated of its own. So you had to stay within the community at that time 3 days. So I had to stay there 3 days, living outside of the temples before you could go in underground in these temples, because the temples are built underground. Okay. So their reasoning for waiting 3 days, if I can remember correctly, was because you needed to raise your vibration. Okay. I'm like, okay. So very much felt Wiccan, pagan type celebrations there. And I took a lot of the pictures of the grounds and things. And on day 3, I was allowed to go into the temples. So they take a bunch of you and you wear your special little slipper booties, because you go into an elevator and the elevator takes you down because you're going underground. Michelle. These are all built underground. And each room is a different temple. One is to like spirit, one is to the earth, one is very, very much pagan, Wiccan type things. At least it felt like that to me. Others maybe not so much, but we all got there, and I have my little booties on so you don't ruin the marble floors. And I'm telling you, this was the most spectacular, beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. The beauty of how people did this. The community built this. He started it by just building, starting digging a hole. And it became these beautiful temples where, oxygen is pushed in from the outside. I mean, gorgeous. Now you can do a YouTube search on it. Back in the day, there were no cameras allowed. I wasn't allowed to have a camera. I couldn't take anything in there at all. No pictures, no cameras, no recording devices. Now that's all changed. It's now on YouTube, which is interesting because I don't know whether that's because the man had passed or not. But anyhow, as you go through these rooms and things, the first thing I noticed, Michelle, is I looked up in the first room. I think it was the earth room. It's the world. And I mean, beautiful designs and marble. And I looked up and I noticed I had seen this ancient writing in my dreams. I didn't know what this writing was. Still don't know to this day. But I had seen those in my dreams. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. Because I'm thinking it's following all the synchronicity, right? I was told to go there. I'm seeing these. So I'm looking around. So now the lady, your guide, is taking you through all these different rooms. And one room would end up being a room. And you'd have on the wall, the one side of the wall was it looked to be like a black map. Okay, because it's in the dark. It was called Falco's Laboratory. And on this wall were red streaks going, little tiny red LED lights going across the map, and then green ones. And what are those? Well, those are ley lines. This is showing the ley lines. The negative is the red, the green is the positive. This is where they're running. And you had, as you came out of the laboratory, there was a room where they had these balls inserted into the wall, and again, I'm saying wall, but this was gorgeous. I mean, it was like a marble wall with these spheres with different colors in them, red, green. They were alchemical liquid that was created. So you would sit in the middle of these and they would send the energy out, you see, to the ley lines, because Falco and the community believed this to be the center of all those ley lines.
Right.
Okay. So that made sense to me. So now we go down again into another, and I don't remember whether that was called his laboratory, but this was another thing another room I would have called his laboratory, but I can't remember what the room was called, Michelle. I'm sorry, I can't recollect. But there were chairs, and they told us to sit in these wooden chairs. Now, there was very few of us, maybe 5, 6, and you're looking at a gurney, okay? A white gurney, and above the gurney is like this helmet thing that would come down, you lay, and it would come down over your head, and the little buttons on the top of this were different colors with alchemic liquid. And they put this on your head and push these buttons with the alchemical liquid. And it was to do something with the energy field and send things. And I'm like, okay, now this is getting a little odd for me at this point, Michelle. You've taken a picture of me, or Native Americans say, never let anybody take a picture, because why? That's your energy. Okay. They've captured your energy. So I'm trying to let all this go, Michelle, because now I'm working on conspiracy theories here in the middle of this place, right? And then, it's all this odd stuff. This is the center. We're sending this stuff. So now we get to this other room with tubes, glass, and we're talking tall. We're talking maybe 12 feet tall, glass tubes, all in a circle, hanging with this different colored alchemical fluid. I forget, so what we were told is you'd go inside there, the participant would, and send thoughts out that would infiltrate people's dreams. And Falco was asked, and I know I still have the book, he was asked, how does this information get out that you are here? And he goes, because we send it in people's dreams. I don't have to advertise. So I'm like, this is getting kind of even more strange here. It's okay, but this is interesting. So we get to a room, and this was like a sound room, and it was all specially designed. And there's a gong in the side. So the architect was that of reverberating the music, right? And it was all set up like that. So anyhow, the lady hits the gong, and intuitively, I knew to hum to myself. I just started going, because I don't know why. I just did it. It was like, are they infiltrating me? Because looking back in retrospect, were they doing something with my energy field? Obviously they are, right, Michelle? I mean, if we can look at that kind of stuff. So not saying it was bad or good, but I intuitively just started humming so that the music, I guess, wasn't bothering me. So we came up out of this, Michelle, and the whole time I'm just getting this really odd feeling. It was a full moon. Can you imagine? I was there on a full moon. And they were having a celebration on this full moon. And this piece of, I've got pictures, Michelle, and maybe you could upload some for your listeners. I don't know whether you can do that or not, but this piece where they had this ceremony was unbelievable. I mean, this big, huge piece of quartz that you've never seen. And I mean, it's huge, huge. And a fire pit. And during the full moon ceremony, they would ride their horses around women who were standing inside these circles.
Right.
It was a whole ceremony. I don't know why. I don't know where. You just didn't know because we were outsiders. We didn't live on the community. These people lived in the community, if that makes sense. So this was their ritual. And it was just very odd to me. That's all I can say. Everything felt very odd. So one day, I mean, it's a couple more days, I'm going to be leaving, right? It's time for me to leave. I really felt it. And I was sitting there with this woman, and she told me who she was, and I was familiar with the last name. And all of a sudden, this bell would go off. And we're just talking, have a conversation. And all of a sudden, she goes like this when that bell rang, like there's nobody home, like it was Pavlov's response.
Yeah, right.
And then she came right back at me. And I said, wow. So she keeps talking to me then. And I said, would you like to go for a hike? I don't know why I'm asking her to go for a hike, right? I said, I'm going to be leaving soon. How about we hike up that mountain? Okay. She goes, oh, yes, that's a great mountain. We'll hike up there. We'll stand at the tower. So up we went, and she took some pictures of me. And she's telling me where she lived here in the States. And I had dated a Hebrew man over the summer, Shell. And so I knew a couple of Hebrew sayings, right? So meeting her, she spoke Hebrew, and I think her mother was from Israel. I don't know where her father was from. And she told me, I don't ever want to go home from here. I love it. I love Falco. This is my home now. I don't want to go home. And I said, okay, fair enough. Why do you like it so much here? Oh, because it's beauty. And look, I learned so much. And she's explaining to me all these things. I said, okay. And this is all during our little hike. And I said to her, I said, the guy that I dated who's Hebrew, there was one song we always played, but it's on my phone. So, when we go back, can you come up to my room and I'll play it for you? She goes, sure. So, came back down off the mountain. It was getting dark. I was leaving the next day. So she comes into my room. I open up my pink flip phone, my razor, and I played the phrase song. And she goes, oh my God, she said, American music. Oh, I haven't heard American music so much. And she goes, I want to go home. I'm going to go home. And I go, really? And she goes, yes, I miss home. I said, okay. And she goes, oh my. And I just kept playing more music as we're sitting there talking, right? So that night she leaves, I hug her. She goes back to her, I think they called them pods at the time. So I went to sleep and I was awoken, Michelle. See, because when they take you out of there, they take you by van down to the airport, then or down to the train station. Okay. So I woke up and I was in panic, like fear, like I wasn't going to be able to leave. And I thought, God, this is odd. Why am I scared to death? And all of a sudden, it was like I had this calm come over me because I heard, think of perfect love. Not sexual love, but think of the perfect love, the most perfect love you've ever felt, Alicia. And that was having my babies, right? First holding them.
Yeah.
I'm envisioning that love. And they said, forget about the fear, love. And as soon as I did, I fell asleep. The next morning, I got in that van, they drove me to the airport, and I go, God, John, I'm coming home. This was scary for me. And the other interesting thing, Michelle, is there was no cell service there. You could only use their phone. and you could only use their computers in this like mobile type. You could go in there. There were like 2 or 3 computers in there. You had to use their computers. So to me, this was just kind of different.
Mm.
So when I got back, and of course I bought some things there, and I remembered when we had gone up to the start, How to Save a Life was playing by the Fray. Did I indeed maybe had some influence, not me personally, but spirit, to play that music to snap that girl's mind to want to go back home? Was I
Yeah.
saying she was under some kind of hypnotic influence? I have no idea. But she wanted to go home after that.
Yeah.
Pretty brilliant.
Wow. It almost sounds like a little bit brainwashing, doesn't it? Or some sort
It
of
kind of did. It really did.
reprogramming. Yeah.
Hmm. Because it was so odd, and they all wore white, and this was a commune, basically, a way of living,
Mm.
but beautiful. And uh, just, again, I would ask your listeners now, because you can look at the temples,
Yeah.
the underground temples. They are on YouTube. They allow people to take in cameras. And there was something very interesting too. Once a week on a Sunday, Falco would speak from his platform. So he'd get in this room with us all, a whole lot of us, and sit there, and they gave us headsets so we could put it to whatever language we spoke. So he would speak Italian, of course, and you put the headsets on, and then Falco was basically like a guru. He's talking, and answering questions, and yeah. So,
Mm.
but from my understanding now, that's all kind of changed. It's a little different. So maybe those things changed when Falco left. I don't know. But
Wow.
again, you just never know where those take you.
Yeah, yeah. And just the oddities that are questionable, aren't they? Like you said, the taking the Polaroid and yeah, interesting.
And
And
they had your money. They had your money. So,
yeah.
in other words, you couldn't use your euros. So their centen, gosh, I can't remember. But yeah, and this was all their own money. And yeah, it was a very interesting experience.
So it was a little bit well, kind of literally converting your money to their currency, the way of thinking, the way of dressing. Yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? Like you're
Yeah.
saying with the
Oh,
tubes in there, how they can then access or, yeah, alter. Was it to alter brainwaves or energy in the mind?
well, he could send thoughts to you telepathically, is what he was saying. I will send them to you in your dream time. You know, he believed this to be the center of all ley lines. So
Yeah,
whatever energy he sent out would then.
yeah. Did you ever stay in contact with that girl that you played the music to?
I did not, and I wished I would have. I really wished I would have, because I hope she made it back to New York.
Yeah, wow. Oh gosh. I'm definitely going to look that up online, and I'll definitely add some photos um, for viewers to have a look at, and I'll put the name there as well. So if anyone wants to look it up for themselves, they can. But it sounds spectacular. I can't wait to look at the photos.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, my words can't express the beauty in it. I mean, and to know this was all made by human hands. This was not they dug it out with their hands. I mean, Michelle, it's amazing. And I think they called it the seventh wonder of the world or eighth wonder, or whatever it was, some kind of wonder of the world. And it truly was. It is truly gorgeous and totally different now, like I said, because you can view it online. And so things have changed.
Wow. Another unique experience.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Sounds gorgeous. I can't wait to see the photos.
Yeah. Wow. And when I'll never forget, Michelle, because when I got out, I told John I was on my way, right? And I got off the airplane in Heathrow and I took a Hackney cab, to his home. And I remember knocking on his door and he looked at me and I go, I just want to go huddle in a womb-like position somewhere for a while. And he started laughing. He goes, oh, good God, what could have happened? And I said, we'll explain it later. It was quite, to me, it was, it really, it was different.
And if anyone else has had that experience, please comment, because I'd love to hear what other people have felt or what their perception of what was going on there was like, even if they experienced it years ago and if they've experienced it in current times. It'd be interesting to see the difference.
Yeah, I'd like to know what it would be like to go back today. So I would really encourage listeners, if they've been there recently, what was their experience? So did it sound anything like mine? Because just from the sounds of it, it's really, really changed. It's different. And again, maybe all of this meant nothing. And it was a fear in my head that was created. Yeah. But the whole takeaway from it and why the synchronicity led me there, I believe, was no more than that girl helping me and connecting with me. Because the chances of me dating a man who was from Israel and Hebrew and spoke Hebrew, and I knew Hebrew words, to meet a girl who has been there for a long, long time, whose parents were from America, lived in America, mother was Hebrew and from Israel, spoke the language, and to then play the song How to Save a Life by the Fray. And she wanted to go.
Incredible. So, yeah, you've probably saved her life and reunited a family again.
Right. Because she trusted me because I spoke Hebrew. That was fun because very little Hebrew did I speak. But she gave me a phrase, Lila Tov means good night. Lila Tov means good night. And she added something to it. I can't remember right now, but may your dreams be made of gold. My mother said that to me every night before going to bed. So it's evoking that maternal, yeah. So I believe she was there and I was there, and that's where spirit needed me at that moment in time.
Fascinating. Thank you so much, Alicia, for being on the show and telling that unusually. It's that's a little curious. Now I'm curious. Like I said, if any listeners have had similar experience, please comment and let us know, because now it's like we get to the bottom of why it's all really what's really going on there,
Yeah.
So
or isn't anymore. And it was interesting. Years later, I did hear that Sting played there in their special room for sound. So,
wow, there you go. Thank you so much, Alicia, for being on the show. And Remember to hit like, subscribe, comment, and share. Now, where can people find you?
Oh, yes. Synchronicity Sweetheart is everywhere and on Facebook also, and International Medium Alicia on Facebook as well. Please feel free to send me anything, ask me questions. Don't send me anything, by the way. Feel free to send me or drop me an email if you have a question, or if you want to comment about Damanhur. I would love to know people's experiences. Please comment.
Definitely. We look forward to having you back again very, very soon. Thanks for joining me at the Medium's Table. The universe is always speaking. Listen and let your spirit soar. Curious for more? Click on one of the videos below and remember to subscribe.